Can anyone hear me? Oh, okay, good, thanks. Good. Okay, so let me get started. So today I thought it would be interesting to talk about something that we don't really consider very much, and it's about how to how to deal with disabilities. So that would be like a lot of different things: sickness, old age, chronic disabilities, and so let's see. Um, oh, I don't know what. Is this right? Can you see can you see the picture? Somebody just nod or something. No, maybe you can't. What's this? Requesting to buy. What is this?
We can see all the presentation, all the PPTs, and all your pictures. So go
Okay.
to,
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Um, is this it? Is this
yes,
right? Oh, okay.
yes.
It's funny because it looks exactly the same to me. Okay, good. Um, so anyway, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about because a lot of times, and myself too, I feel uncomfortable sometimes to be around people who have disabilities or people who are sick. And so I thought maybe to do some kind of a presentation on how to nice ways to be around people who have problems like this. So anyway, that was what I was thinking. So first of all, I thought I might start out with Saint Ledwina. So she one of the things you have to know about me, I was raised as a Catholic. And one of the things that they do when you're about 12 years old, they have a ceremony to kind of welcome you into the church or something like that. And you have to pick a saint that you want to be your patron. That would be, and it's, I think you also take their name. So my father was Dutch, and there was only one Dutch saint who was a woman. So he said, this was Saint Ledwina. And so he said I should pick her. And so because I was a good daughter, I picked her. And so now it turns out that she was she lived in the, well, I think she was born in 1380. So she lived quite a long time ago. She was born in a town called Schiedam. And when she was 15, she fell while she was ice skating. And for some reason, after that, she was sick constantly until she died. And she lived to be quite old. I think she was 50 something. So after that, she was in bed the whole time. But she didn't give in to her disability, but she was very religious, and she would meet with people and try to encourage them. And she was even, they said she could heal people. And so she became very famous. So anyway, that was, I didn't realize all this when I took her name, but I thought maybe because I had that connection when I was so young, that it made me it gave me a feeling for what it's like to be sick, to have disability, and also to overcome that, and in spite of that, to have lead a good life, and help a lot of people. So anyway, I thought I'd start with her because she's always kind of way in the background in my mind, just because I connected with her when I was so young. Um, so she could give an example of somebody who didn't let their suffering get in the way of helping other people. So, So then I was thinking maybe it's important to understand. So this is an idea of what disability is, but it's important to understand disability. We're often we ignore people who are disabled or chronically ill or even old because if somebody isn't able to participate in our regular day-to-day life, then sometimes we don't feel comfortable around them. We don't know how to act, and they also feel uncomfortable in some ways and other ways too, like uh, just maybe self-conscious or or lonely. So we don't normally. It's difficult to relate to someone else's situation like that. But actually, anybody can be affected by disability. It could happen anytime. It could last your whole life. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you live or what your income is or what your race is. It's something that can affect everybody, the entire community, but especially the person themselves and their family and their friends. And what happens is it can happen very quickly that your role changes, your role in your family or in your community, and it changes relationships. And so people feel uncertain or awkward to approach somebody with a disability. So one thing I thought maybe I'd try to come up with ways that we can connect with people who have disabilities, people who are old, people who are sick, people who are otherwise not connecting with society. So first of all, a definition. There's two kinds of disability. One is chronic and the other is acute. So acute is something that it's something strong, severe. It happens quickly and it's temporary. So that would be something like a broken bone or a heart attack or even a bad cold or flu, something like that. It's something that came on quickly and it won't last very long. Chronic is something different. It usually develops slowly. It lasts for months or for years or for a lifetime. And it very often requires long-term management. So examples would be like diabetes or kidney disease or arthritis. Sometimes the symptoms will come and go, so you don't have it all the time, but it comes sometimes and then other times it's not. The symptoms could be invisible and they might also be changing so that you constantly have to adapt. Like maybe sometimes you might have an illness and all of a sudden you find you can't see. And then after a while you can see, but you have a different problem, like there's pain. And so sometimes that will require that you have to keep changing the way you act and what you expect. So chronic disability can affect your body, your mind, your identity, how you see yourself, and your relationship with others. Now, often when people get older, they have one or another kind of chronic illness. It could be diagnosed or it could be undiagnosed. And even old age itself could be considered a chronic disability because you're constantly losing abilities that you have taken for granted your whole life, but all of a sudden, this thing that you can't do this anymore. And so that's also a disability. So everybody everybody in the system is impacted by this. So you're in your community, you're first of all, of course, the patient themselves. Then friends and coworkers, family, caretakers, and even strangers are affected. You see people on the street sometimes, and you know they have a serious problem, and you might not know how to act around them. So different people have different experiences with disability. From the point of view of the person who's the primary caretaker, there's this constant worry or not knowing how to act when some symptoms come up. I think we've all probably been in this situation before where somebody in our family becomes really ill and you don't really know what to do. Um, I know I've been in that situation when my mother was dying, and it's just, you just don't know what to do. You want to help, but it's difficult. And sometimes the roles change. So the husband could become the nurse. The child might have to take care of their parent. There's emotional fatigue. There's different responsibilities and fear. And then sometimes when the patient just doesn't want to talk, and you feel like you can't help. You want to help, but you can't. People can become overwhelmed by being a caregiver. Friends also sometimes overwhelmed, don't know how to approach the person, um, or else you might not feel like I don't know, I have no idea what this person is experiencing, and it just feel uncomfortable to even to visit them, or also guilty because you're not visiting them. So those are some experiences of people who are close to people who are have disabilities. So they always suggest that you don't don't give in to those feelings, but allow yourself to escape a little bit, to prevent getting burned out, so you don't take it on as a permanent problem, but just get a little distance sometimes. Sometimes friends, or there might be local organizations that could help, or just even hire a nurse for a few days so that you can get a break from it because it can be overwhelming. Make sure you take care of yourself with exercise and food and sleep. And when things become too much, just realize that you can say no. You if it's too much, then find some way to allow yourself to get some rest. Um, don't feel guilty for taking a break. Um, so anyway, you can go to the beach. So from the point of view of the patient, um, so there's the symptoms, of course, whatever the problem is. Pain, obviously, pain is a very major one, or being exhausted all the time, or not being able to think properly. Sometimes the brain just you can't form a thought, or you might just suddenly lose your energy and have to change your plans at the last minute. Like maybe you were going to go do something with friends, but all of a sudden you don't feel like you can do it. You don't have the energy, so then you have to change your plans. Or the side effects of medication is a problem with a patient. Suddenly you have a new symptom. Is this coming from the medication that you're taking, or is it a side effect? Is it or is it a new symptom? You don't know. Um, Also, if you had a job that you really loved before, or taking care of your family, or whatever you did before, now you can't do that anymore, and so it's you get thrown into an experience where you you don't really you don't have anything that anything familiar that gives you comfort. So you don't really know how to well, really, how to make yourself feel like you have meaning in your life. Um, then you might have something you want to finish in your lifetime. Like you might want to see your children graduate or get married, or you might have something that you're trying to accomplish, like a work of art or a translation or something like that. You might not be able, you might worry about not being able to finish that. And so that's another consideration for a person who's has disability. Um, Not being able to um, keep up with your friends or with your family. Also, not wanting to be a burden. So these are common experiences with someone who's disabled or sick. Um, so what it feels like to the person is that you might get used to your new situation. So maybe you find, okay, I can't walk as far as I used to be able to, for example, or maybe I can't walk at all. And you're used to that, but you can't keep up with your friends because your friends want to go and do something, but you know you won't be able to do it. So that's one thing. Um, Also, there's this shame of not being able to manage something you used to be able to do, like keeping your house clean or even using the toilet. I think that's a big one for a lot of people, having to have help with things like that. Then there's always the idea, am I just being lazy or should I push myself to be able to do something? So there's always this little bit of not really not really being sure of what the boundaries are, or trying to be cheerful when people are around and they want you to be friendly and cheerful and you don't really feel like it. So those are some things that it feels like for a person who's disabled. So if you're coming from the other side as the friend, it's good to understand where they might be having considerations. So like if you go and visit somebody and they seem like they are not being very friendly, it doesn't mean that they don't like you or that they're not happy that you're there. It's just that they might they might have a pain that you don't know about, or they might have some kind of confusion, or something else might be on their mind. And so don't write them off. Don't say, "Oh, I can't be around this person anymore. They're not, but give them some give them some allowance to be, you know, don't judge too harshly on either side. If you're the patient or if you're the friend, don't try to relax the boundaries a little bit. Okay, so there's certain things that it's better not to say to somebody if they're disabled or if they're sick. One thing is telling them that they don't look sick. I think that's disturbing to somebody if they feel really bad, and then you say, but you don't look sick, you look fine." That might be a problem. It actually sometimes it might not be. It might be that they think, well, at least I'm not disturbing people with my appearance. But it's something to consider. Or giving somebody some advice about how they should be, try and look on the bright side of things, or try to be positive, because sometimes I think lots of times somebody's already trying to do that. They're trying really hard. And then if you tell them that they should try to be, try to make the best of it, then you're kind of letting them know that they're not really doing a very good job. Or that kind of advice, things like that. Sometimes it's not. Just be careful about not being sensitive to somebody else's experience on both sides. Um, if you're visiting somebody who's sick or just disabled in any way, sometimes if you're trying to if they're not talking much, then you'll talk a lot yourself. And actually talking a whole lot can be really tiring to somebody. They appreciate that you're there, but trying to focus that hard sometimes might be too much. Sometimes it's better just to be there, just be present. If somebody seems to be really tired, rather than trying to bring their energy up to your level, but just try to appreciate where they are and just be there with them. Um, so then I was thinking about in general. I know lots of times when I think about visiting somebody who's either disabled or sick, then I think, well, what are we gonna do? Like, um, I don't really know what I can do with them that we would both enjoy. And so I was thinking about it, and I came up with uh, some kind of guidelines. And let's see. Um, so there's there's what they have is sometimes they call happy chemicals. They are things that they naturally occur in the body that regulate your mood and your well-being and things like that. So I thought it might be interesting to go through and see what kind of activities will stimulate the the interior chemicals that make you feel happy or secure or whatever. Because there's certain things you can do to stimulate these things. So the 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 chemicals are one of them. Well, they call them, some are neurotransmitters and hormones, and they regulate mood and motivation and well-being. So there's four that they talk about. One is dopamine, and that drives reward and pleasure. So if you can stimulate the production of dopamine, then that makes you and the other person feel happier. So then there's oxytocin that promotes social bonding and trust. Then there's serotonin that stabilizes your mood and contentment. They have more than that, and I'll go into more than that later. But and then endorphins will help to cover up pain. So all of these are things that if you're visiting somebody or living with somebody who has a chronic problem like that, then it might be useful to come up with activities that can help to bring these things to make them more available. So first of all is dopamine. So that's associated with the brain's reward system. And so it will create pleasure in your mind when you achieve goals or when you get recognition or with a new experience. And if you have higher levels, it can increase your motivation. So it's good to stimulate this kind of thing. Low levels will lead you to more of a lack of focus or fatigue. So if a person is disabled themselves, they say that um, if you have naturally occurring dopamine, that improves your lifestyle to promote a healthy level, like a stable level, rather than spiking, rather than, okay, I'm happy now, now I'm not happy, but you want to get it so it's stable. They say that there's certain foods that help to increase your dopamine: chicken, eggs, dairy, beans, nuts. So it looks like mostly protein, soy and avocados, things like this. There's a something called L-tyrosine, which is it's a kind of a protein that it increases your dopamine. So to increase it without other apart from food, things like regular physical exercise, or getting sunlight, or getting enough sleep, or meditating, or listening to music, or achieving goals, small achievable goals. So then things that increase that. So like morning sunlight, that helps to maintain proper levels of these neurotransmitters. Then they say cold showers or ice baths can significantly increase dopamine levels. Or having a small goal like cleaning your room or things that you need to do and getting them done, that will also increase your dopamine and give you a feeling of it gives you a sense of reward. Or creative hobbies like painting or cooking or journaling. Then having the right diet, that helps. Also, limiting certain kind of food, especially saturated fat and sugar, because what these things do, they give you a quick burst of energy and then you crash. So it's better to avoid those things. So now, if you have friends who are disabled, or if you're disabled, here's some things you can do when you're visiting them. First of all, exercise. You can go, depending on their level of what they are able to do, going for a walk, or doing yoga or tai chi, or going swimming or something like that, or even like a small exercise. Even there's a lot of things you can do in a chair. So that kind of thing, even just getting some exercise helps to increase dopamine. Meditation is very good. So if you want to visit your friends and meditate with them, there's another thing called yoga nidra, which is it's like it's you're resting. It's a form of yoga, but basically you're lying and just resting, and it's there's kind of you slowly go and you're relaxing every part of your body, and going through your whole body and just relaxing it bit by bit. And that's also something that you could do this with a disabled person, or you could do it yourself. And this will increase dopamine. So morning sun, so you could sit outside and drink tea. This would be a nice exercise for somebody who doesn't have much energy, but it's something that you can enjoy with your friend. Reading together, or painting, or cooking, or playing music, or listening to music. And also social interactions, like just hanging out with friends and family, or playing with your pets, things like that. These all increase dopamine. Okay, so that's the first one. Then the next one is oxytocin. They call that the love hormone because it involves social bonding and physical touch and things like that. So things like hugging, or having a massage, or even spending time with people that you love, or friends, playing with your pets, listening to music, laughing together, exercising, things like that. These activities give feelings of trust and connection and well-being. So, some things that a disabled person can do to increase their oxytocin is like hugging friends or massage or holding hands, acts of kindness like helping a neighbor or volunteering. That also helps to increase your oxytocin. Having an interaction with a pet, like a dog or a cat, this will increase the oxytocin in the person and in the pet. So if you have an animal that is feeling upset, then also the same thing by, and you know that, you know, you pet your dog and the dog feels happy. Um, Things that you can do with a disabled friend. Um, so hugging, holding hands, dancing, massage, um, taking care of them, like washing or arranging their hair or taking care of their nails. Sometimes this is really helpful with people who are disabled or old. Just something like that, helping them to cut their nails. That's a big deal for some people. Um, or just normal socializing, having a conversation or having a meal together or laughing together, maybe going to a movie or something. Acts of kindness. So, from the point of view of helping somebody, you're helping them to create or perform selfless acts like volunteering or helping a neighbor or something like that. And then again, bringing a dog or a pet to visit, especially like if you're visiting a group home where like a lot of people live together, if you can bring it makes people really happy just to see a dog or another pet to visit them. I know I go to a clinic sometimes, um, and they have special dogs that they bring in, and the patients who are waiting to like sometimes they'll be waiting to have their blood drawn or something, or they might just be uncomfortable, and just to have this dog come over and pet the dog, it really changes the way they feel. So something like that is really helpful. It might not seem like a big deal, but it seems to help people a lot. So then the next one is serotonin. And that one comes mostly from spending time in nature or exposure to the sun, exercise, meditation, yoga. Um, there's something called tryptophan, and it's supposed to help to increase your serotonin. Um, Exercising regularly helps, um, or just being out in the sun, or yoga, meditation, increasing your or improving your digestion. So things that a person who's disabled can do to increase their serotonin would be spend 10 to 30 minutes outside every day. Or if you can't go outside, then if somebody's really, really disabled, then artificial light lamps can help to increase the serotonin. Physical activity. This helps your brain to increase serotonin. Releasing stress, like with yoga or massage or meditation. It seems like the food that is it produces serotonin is the same as dopamine, like eggs and fish and it looks like meat, nuts, seeds, cheese, so protein. But if you eat the protein with fruit and vegetable and beans and whole grains, then that helps the body to um, to use it. So those things supposed to be helping to increase serotonin. Um, so things that you can do with a disabled friend that will help to increase their serotonin and yours would be have a very healthy meal together, or spend time in nature, go out and be go out in the sunlight, or open the curtains so that the sun comes in, or exercising or meditating or yoga together. So then the last one is endorphins. Um, and so this is another one that is helps to make you feel happy. So it, some things that will help to create endorphins are exercise, laughing together, uh, eating dark chocolate, um, or spicy food, they say. So a disabled person can, in order to increase your endorphins, regular exercise, whatever's appropriate. If you can, then aerobic, like dancing or hiking. For some reason, dietary choices, the cocoa has something in it that increases your endorphins. So eating chocolate's good for you. Also, spicy food. This would be food with hot spice, and there's something called capsaicin. It comes from chili, and that also increases your endorphins. Also, food that's high in magnesium or omega-3, such as nuts or fish, and that also is helps to trigger your endorphins. But also just social connection and acts of kindness, like volunteering, or just generally doing kind things for others. They will create, they'll give you a boost of endorphins so, to make you feel happy. So things to do with a disabled friend to increase their endorphins and yours. So physical activity, whatever you could do, exercise, or even just going outside if you can. Hiking, if they're stronger than any kind of aerobic exercise or dancing or hiking, things like that. I think we covered food, but you could bring them some chocolate that will make them happy. Um, Laughter and music. So even humming, they say it stimulates the vagus nerve, and it releases some kind of neurotransmitters that increase your happiness. I think you might have, if you've ever sung in a group before, it almost inevitably will cause you to feel happy. So that kind of thing, singing together is a really good way to make someone to create happiness. Or you could, also going to a funny movie is another thing you could do with somebody who's disabled if they're able to do that. Also, again, volunteering and helping others is a good way to do that. Some other things, there's some sensory things you can do, like aromatherapy, like with different smells. Some various smells, like lavender, for example, is very relaxing, and different smells create different moods. Also, if it's something that you've grown to associate with happiness, like the smell of chocolate chip cookies or something that your grandmother used to make, then that kind of thing also, just the smell of it, makes people happy. Being in the sunlight, or again, getting a massage. So in this case, they talk about heat and cold therapy. So not just cold, but also taking a hot bath or a sauna. That creates what they call a heat stress response. And then if you go get cold after that, then you get an endorphin release. And I think you've probably experienced that if you've like Oh, I know. We used to go to the beach and it was really cold in the water, and just it just feels so happy when you come out of the water. So things like that. So those are all things that you can consider if you have a friend or someone, if you want to visit and spend time with them. There's all these things that you can do that will give you something to do with them that will make you both have an enjoyable time together. So then, what can you learn from chronic illness? So if you were if you're chronically ill, one of the things that you can learn, one of the things that you necessarily learn really, is patience and presence. Like, I know when I've been sick for a period of time, then just being there with yourself, and it's like almost meditative, can you can learn to be just to be with yourself, and not to need stimulation, and not to need to be entertained all the time, but just the quiet comfort of being, just knowing where you are, and just being there. And then also, one of the things you learn is compassion for others, by saying, okay, well, this thing, I have this suffering, others have the same suffering. They might have different suffering, but everybody has something. And so even somebody who's arrogant, they're suffering. Um, Pretty much everybody has some kind of thing. So then it creates the ability to have compassion for others. And so then I was thinking a practice that is good for people who are, especially people who are disabled, or people who are close to them, is this Tonglen meditation. And this is something you can use to increase your own compassion, or to even to change your attitude about your own sickness or your suffering. So I thought maybe just do like a very quick Tonglen meditation, so you can, if you're not familiar with it, you can see what it's like. And if you are familiar, it doesn't hurt to do a quick meditation. So if you could, just wherever you are, you don't have to get in any fancy position, just wherever you happen to be, just close your eyes and put your mind inside your body, not outside. So come out of the room you're in, but focus inside. And just focus on your breathing for a little bit. Now imagine somebody who is disabled or suffering. It could be a friend of yours, could be a family member. And imagine them sitting across from you, or lying across from you, just so that they're in the same place with you. And just imagine that they're there. They're really there. And look at what their suffering is, whatever it is. So maybe they have a disease that makes it difficult for them to move, or maybe they have a mental condition that makes them angry all the time, or whatever it is, just see them there and get a feeling for whatever their suffering is. And then feel your own heart. And in your heart, not your physical heart, but you know the heart that's it's located near your physical heart, where your compassion comes from. And feel that there's like a fire there burning, a fire of compassion. And then allow that to be there. Then look at your friend again and connect with their suffering and start to see the suffering itself as some kind of like a dark cloud. Their body is filled with this dark cloud of suffering, and some of it's emotional and some of it's physical, whatever it is. And then what you're going to do, I'll describe it and then you do it. So first of all, when I say go, um, imagine that their suffering is like this dark cloud, and you breathe in strongly, you pull it out of them, and you pull it in through your nostrils and down to your heart, which is like a flame. And when it hits your heart, the heart just, it's like a flash of light, and it just completely destroys their suffering, the black cloud that was their suffering. Okay, so um, 1, 2, 3, then breathe it in, and it explodes in your heart, and it completely is destroyed. And then look at them again, and now their suffering is gone. All this mental anguish, physical pain, it's gone from them. And you've destroyed it. And just feel how content they are now, how relieved they are. And then you can look at yourself, your own heart. This flame of love is there. And you've completely destroyed their suffering. And so now there's this bond where you've created this happiness in the world. And just feel happy that you've been able to do that. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's a meditation that you can do. You can do it really anytime. Sometimes, like if I'm in public, like on a bus or something, and you see somebody and they look like they're having a hard day, you can just do it really quickly. And so that's one way you can use this. Um, then also you can use it on yourself. So if you you can use it on yourself in the future, and just like if you know something's going to happen that that you know is going to be difficult, then you can visualize yourself in the future and do the same thing. You can also do it on yourself in the past. So these are different ways to play around with that kind of meditation. I've found it's really powerful, actually. I tried it one time with somebody that hadn't spoken in like 3 years, and I did it for a couple weeks, and then they called me up and connected again. Just I didn't say anything to them, but they somehow the tension was released, and so then it changed everything. So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to say, and so if anyone has any questions, we can do that. Otherwise, let's see if I can get everybody. Anyway, so yep. So that's my class, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you whenever next month, I guess. Probably sooner, unless you have a question, but I don't see any hands. So have a nice day, have a nice week, and I'll see you later.